IVM.
Hey everyone, welcome to Shunya 1, episode 171. This is, as you can see, a very, very special episode because not only am I here with some two very cool people to talk about a very cool startup and product, but also here we are in the IVM studios. I'm back in the studio after, I think, easily 2 years. And this is was a great chance for me to come back and do a recording here. And I think we all have been pretty cooped up at home. So this was a good chance to break that routine as well. While, of course, the other interesting piece of information that you know from this episode onwards is that Amit is no longer with us as a co-host on this show. Ironically, because his office is just a few doors down from where I'm sitting right now. So we'll try and get him in on future episodes, of course, wherever he can pop in and be a guest. But I'll try and do most of my recordings from the studio. Let's see how that works out. But yes, welcome to another episode. And for those of you who are listening or watching us on video right now, I'm here with the two co-founders of an awesome company called Athlos. And I'm here with Pravin and Shruti. Welcome to the show, guys, and thank you so much for making it over to the studio to join me today. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. We are happy to be here.
Yeah, I think, was it a good break for you guys too, also to sort of step out of your chaotic office daily routine and, come over and have some coffee and chat about your company?
Definitely. I think it's a lovely office that you have. So it was a good break for us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad this is already getting off to a great start. I miss this energy actually of just having a conversation in the physical real world. We've been doing all these recordings on Zoom and remote and video. It's pretty much become the routine of life of having any conversation. Everything seems like a call and a planned call and a scheduled call. So definitely glad we are doing this. And of course, Praveen, you, I think, I'm meeting after a long time, even though we've known each other for what?
2 decades. Yeah.
Easily?
Easily
right?
2 decades. Yeah.
Easily since college?
2000. Since 2000.
So wow. So that's been, that's a long time, man.
Yeah.
And of course, you've had an interesting journey yourself, even before, let's say, jumping into what you guys have built. So do you want to start there and give a little background of the how and why of how Athlos came to be?
Okay. A little background about me is I'm an engineer.
Yeah, we're from the same engineering college. Don't know how each of us fared.
Yeah.
Really how that meaningfully contributed to our lives, but here we are.
Yeah. So, I actually did pure engineering for a long time, right? Till 2015, I was doing pure engineering. And then the idea for Athlos did come that there is a scope for doing an activewear brand with a different way of building activewear products or the brand in itself. So, and that's how, So background is engineering, but then Athlos came in as an idea
So you did 10, 15 years of engineering only.
Yeah, pure engineering.
Pure, like in Silicon Valley, working on this cutting edge tech to, I think, taking a long backpacking trip where you discovered the need for activewear products like this?
But yeah. That's, I took a sabbatical in 2013 and I was traveling with just one backpack. And that's when the main problem, it felt like, most of the activewear felt like it was not comfortable after 1 hour or 2 hours of usage. And so it felt like there is enough scope for, new way of developing products in the activewear space. And that was an initial idea. Then finished my sabbatical, went back to my old job. But then the idea was kept on growing in me, germinating in the head. And then packed my bags and then moved back to India and started Athlos.
Wow.
And that's also when I moved back and met Shruti, and I will let her tell.
It was a chance meeting, honestly. Yeah. And he started speaking about fabrics, which I had not heard of, and dropping names like bamboo fabric and things like that. So
silver infused.
Yeah, anti-odor and all. So he just got my attention, and I said, okay, we need to follow up this discussion. So And at that time, I was in my advertising job. So if anyone here knows what that is, so it's basically you start your day and you don't know when you end your day, sort of a format.
Yeah.
So he also mentioned other keywords, I would say, which got my attention because he was a hiker and he was telling me about his road trip and the sabbatical. So I've thought that, oh, here's an interesting guy who knows what he's doing also because he has done all these things before.
Right.
So there was that, immediate being able to trust the product idea and stuff like that. And I immediately saw the gap. I said, I can build a brand. This is what I want. And it just felt like a good match to figure it out together to build the product and to build the company and to design the website and everything. So that's what I did for several different brands before Athlos. And when I was making the jump, it was also a chance to work on the product along with knowing how to display the product. I mean, that's again, advertising and marketing. So even the chance to speak to customers. I mean, it was from zero, right? Nothing more exciting than that. So,
of course, that's why our show is called Shunya One. It's about
Great.
going from zero to wherever you have
I
to
honestly didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but this is so interesting that, first of all, the time frame.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is 2015.
Yeah.
So 7 years ago. And this is not a time when, obviously, I talked to a lot of tech startups here. Tech startups had just sort of arrived on the scene in general. Like the Indian startup scene, that too in only pure technology, had just sort of stabilized or started to become, the hype cycle was starting, I would say. VC money was starting to flow into the tech scene. Still not crazy levels as it was, but just start of that. But for you, what you decided to build was not a tech company. You decided to build a physical, real world product and then sell it to your customers through tech, of course.
Yeah.
That, how did these choices come to be? If you can look back a little bit, because today we say D2C, we talk about, selling through consumer, people who love the story of a brand and, they affiliate with the brand in so many ways, associate with the brand in so many ways. So what was the original thought process which drove you to feel confident that this will work in India, of all places, at that time?
I don't think that this will work was like that blatant of a confident thing in the back of the head. But this looks like we can do it, give it a few years and see how it grows. And plus, I think we loved making products. So tech or non-tech, like end of the day, you're making products. So it needs certain way of understanding user journey, user pain points. So that, I don't think so. I don't think it's that different like when you're making a product, be it a tech product or a non-tech product. So we were pretty much seeing that, okay, this looks good enough to give it an attempt, that over the next few years we can build something which will, grow and bloom into
the brand that we now know it as. And what was the space like? If you do you remember doing like market research as to what is the current space? Because you guys are in like major mainstream apparel, but it's also for a very, very like discerning audience. So how did you first go about understanding that, the market size of that, and all the other typical hygiene things of running a business, I would say?
Well, I think Pravin is underselling his confidence. I think he really believed it will work. And I don't think there were any numbers where one would say that, okay, let's start with the market strategy. What he said is true. We both enjoyed making products. We were not looking at it as a supply chain, issue or an operations heavy job. It's now that it is after 7 years. At that point, it was about the things that we felt we itch for, the fabrics that we feel were available for us. So that is what it was based upon. It felt that if we are attracted to some of these things? Can we find more people who are attracted to similar ideology from a product consumption point of view? And then I think this is what Pravin tells me, that it was you who also introduced Athlos to a lot of athletes. So that's where the community reach began. And being able to have some of the one-on-one conversations were far more compelling versus trying to straight up advertise and other bits. And we stuck to the philosophy that we also never did free sampling, and that was something that a lot of people probably were put off by, that you're not even an impulse purchase, because the standalone one product was, I think, starting range was 1297, 1300.
Or so.
So none of these things literally worked from an expectation of others' point of view, but we stuck around. We were there explaining what the product is. We were there asking them to give it a shot. So again, we are not sales background, we are product and engineering and advertising kind of a blend. So it's where we
I think that what you said about your philosophy of knowing your quality, I think what you inherently knew was that we are building something of high quality and there is value in it. And hence you wanted to showcase that value to everyone, right? I mean, I think that's also where the focus on, while you're saying it's not selling, you're actually, you're translating to everyone that why this is worth whatever it's worth. And, how it's different, I think, is also a large part of the initial message that you obviously tried to send to people. So, when you looked at apparel market back then, obviously there were not so many, and today there are so many brands which are trying to do something different in apparel. What was that one or two few things which you knew you had to sort of get right? And I'm talking a little bit on the product building part itself, for this to be successful. Like, was it a feature of, let's say, no order? Was it did you think about manufacturing process, like your sourcing? What were those few things which you soon figured out that, if this doesn't work, it won't fly, or if it works, it will fly because of this? Like, if you look back, and what do you think was that inflection point where you knew, now this will be $1 billion company someday?
I think it was fabric. I think that's where most conversations start for us.
So actually, initially when we were speaking to a lot of people, like, just one-on-one or just calling, and then and also we were getting feedback from people who were paying money to get get feedback from paid users. Now, one of the thing was the problem of, like, being able to spend long hours in your activewear and yet being comfortable. So that was unanimous across everyone. Like, no one was stating it in obvious, like, clear, defined words, but we could pick up that the comfort which can come through fabrics. That was where we felt like, okay, this looks like we can, like, comfort over a long period of hours was something we felt like there was definitely a problem across most people who lead an active lifestyle. Then anti-odor does come a part of it, right? Like, if you spend long hours, like, you want to finish a run and go hop on to grab a beer or coffee, I think the anti-odor element does play a significant part. But overall, it's comfort to be able to stay in the same clothing for, like, hours without... Was the main thing. And then what we felt was, like, fabrics is where we can bring that.
And was that even I know you looked obviously globally at a lot of people doing similar things maybe, but was that at all something prevalent elsewhere, or was it like and definitely not in India, I would assume? So what was your, again, look, I'm looking for that little bit of directional indicator that this is what I need to focus my energies on building. Like, in fact, since you mentioned fabric, where did you go to find someone who could give you exactly what you needed?
So where was if I have to understand this, was it about where to start, or was it about how to put it together? How do you ensure quality control, or how do you ensure that your product performs well?
Now it's a case of 7 years of experience. Like
Of
if
course.
we hear a problem, we can pretty much imagine this is the fabric that can solve this problem.
Right.
That our choice of fabrics and our choice of like this is what we should do for this product line.
Right.
That came evolved with we also a lot of users used to come back like, okay, I like your t-shirt, but can you make the running shorts? Can you make this? Can you make that? And we heard it all, like
Right.
like this is reading between the lines of whatever inputs used to get from the users. So that's where the direction for the products came in.
Mhm.
Now, what fabrics and how to ensure the quality and all, it was a journey, right? I mean, we uh,
Did you find those suppliers in India? Did you have to go outside? Like, how difficult was it, given the stringent, requirements you had? Is basically what I'm asking.
Pretty stringent. From what I have heard is that I think few times he landed up in different parts of India, expecting that this is the conversation he's going to have, but it was an entire different conversation. Someone said that, "Oh, you want bamboo, right? So why do you want to make t-shirts? Make something else. No, I have bed sheets ready. So why don't you just do that?" So there were a lot of different business ideas as offering as well.
yeah.
And he stuck to it. So
If you're making physical products, right, initially it will be difficult, like building the supply chain, talking to the vendors and telling them that we want this specific product
Correct.
and we want it in smaller quantities,
Exactly.
and you have to help us for the next 2 years before it starts showing success. That was initially the difficult part. And
And I think, I asked this because it's across all such D2C sort of initiatives anyone takes, right? Or the scale will obviously be very small to begin with. And the more stringent you are on your requirements, the lesser your chances of someone who can build it to those requirements. So how did you go about finding that? And was there did you have to invent some part of the supply chain or innovate some part of the supply chain to actually get the products the way you want it?
So we started with one fabric, and today we are at 5+ fabrics,
yeah.
6 fabrics. So each time bamboo was instinctive. The first batch was not good. Yes, it
I
wasn't.
think I still have.
Yes, okay, good. We don't talk about it. But then came certain observations through self trials conducted it via athletes who were kind enough to give us harsh feedback and not be nice to us, so that we can actually come back and start building on it. Then when we got a few things right and we had customers coming back saying, a few words which we were basing our product on, say comfort, and someone said, "Oh my God, it's seriously anti-odor." Today, of course, anti-odor is also a buzzword or like a
I think people have
property
figured it
that's
out now to sort
gets
of-
dropped. Back in 2015-16, people were not expecting claims to work.
Exactly.
Now,
I
when
know
a-
I had
yes.
to convince people at home
Huh.
that, hey, I'm going to wear this for 2 days. Don't hate
Yeah,
me.
it's exactly. We had people who were trying it out that way. And when we knew these things are working, we never changed some of those recipes. Then it meant, okay, as a startup, how are you going to innovate? So we do enough research. Now there are products have spanned across. So one of our top selling products, I would say, is the training shorts, which is made out of bamboo. Now, when we launched it, we got a mixed bag of reviews, and it was about, like people don't hold back saying, "Ki kaise chalega?" And then there will be some who would come back asking, "Ki give me every single color that you have." So you have to pick between, okay, so it's working for some people. Can we find more people who are, the lookalike of this audience? And then start building it on that particular sentiment, on that particular product. And it's after we have designed that product, we have not had to change it at all. So we also don't do collections, and we research one product at a time.
Yeah.
Huh. So it has helped us. I think the audience also were able to trust because they were seeing that the claims are working. That was the first point. There was a gap in the market for sure because there were no options of fabric. It was always about style and fit.
Correct.
And while those are not negotiable, like everybody, if you're picking up something new, you do want to look good in it. It's not just about comfort. You're going to show yourself out. You're going to, run at different places. So it was us getting one thing right, but the core always remained as fabric and how to ensure the performance of these fabric. So he would when fabrics would come to us for testing, there would be different recipes. So say there's bamboo cotton, then there is supima poly, and then and sometimes there would be fabrics which we would just which someone would just ask us ki, oh, do you want to make something out of it? And
Try it out,
so innovation would be the application. Say it's getting applied for something else, we were able to take it out from that space and see a different application. Hey,
Right.
what if we do a pocket out of this? Would it work? Or what if we put a little bit of a elastic instead of a rubber? So will that handle a chafing issue? So it's an engineering approach
Wow.
to build an apparel is what I would
I think
say.
that's amazing, right? I mean, you had to maybe even learn a little bit of science behind all of this
True.
to apply your,
Definitely. So one of the first things in apparel is also, especially in activewear, you also want something that is quick drying.
yes,
Now, quick drying as a engineering, which means like the fabric rejects water.
right,
Now, when that happens, it can also tend to heat your body as well, because if you're rejecting water, so you know that
Yeah.
that surface, the drying of water or the fluid across the surface is not happening. So there is no cooling down happening.
right,
So these were the things we figured out. Okay, so if you want to have a better drying rate, but at the same time you don't want the fabric to get too hot,
right.
so you can blend it with something which actually absorbs water, but doesn't absorb water all the way. So
Wow.
the blends come in play over such applications. And like as Shruti said, right, we had to figure out the applications of where to take this fabric and blend it with what to get what result.
Wow.
So, but that was coming
Yeah.
as people were telling us, right? So, and it's really hard to design shorts like a running shorts, and that came in much later. But then people were telling us like, wait, this is a potential problem for runners.
Right.
This is what a short should do.
So
Yeah.
and these running shots, the distance running shots
Yeah.
for men and women. So I think there are times when I have seen. So the idea of the shorts was that we've given it 4 pockets, so you can literally load your world and you won't feel it when you're on the run. And I've seen people do this. So randomly at Marine Drive, people have like really stuffed things in their pockets. So some of these things also, say you're in your research room, or you're on the table designing, a constant effort to be in touch with your customers and take their feedback and see how to
See how
work.
it performs in the real
Ha.
world. Yeah.
Customers know when there is discomfort, but to fix the discomfort is that's not what they are telling you. They're telling you what is the problem.
The problem. Yeah.
So to be able to have the energy and the excitement to fix it is perhaps how the whole product company keeps rolling.
But I also feel like it also comes on how we are also communicating about the product. Like Shruti, when I remember like Shruti when she would be like figuring out the communications of the product, like there will be a lot of ideas going on, and she'll say, no, this is how we should communicate.
Positioning
Because
and so on, yeah.
to simplify it down, and I think she will explain it better, but I'm just bringing up the point that if you're making a technical product, how you also tell the story of the product or what it does, that also becomes equally important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we know this. Maybe today we take it for granted that products should speak to us and show what they really are. I mean, I think back when you started, it was like you said, it was mostly about style and fit and like superficial elements of the product, of apparel especially.
In fact, so we call it an athletic performance wear. then came just around that time, the market pivoted and it was about athletic fashion. So even that happened. So
Athleisure.
yeah, now even though our customers were living and breathing in bamboo, we stuck to the brand identity, or rather we worked on building the brand as a performance company. So when someone says that, oh, if I only run so much, should I buy this?
Yeah.
Of course you can buy it. It's a t-shirt, anybody can wear it. However, it starts off with the positioning as to why we have done it and what should you expect from it, and then again checking up with the customer, is it working for you?
Yeah.
Wow. Very nice.
Sometimes also noticing that a customer may be a long distance runner, but they have got a T-shirt which is we designed. We didn't design it for long distance running, so we will actually call and check them. Hey, you know what? This is we see that the order is getting packed, and you ordered this, and then they said, okay. We also had people. Okay, I will try something because I do run long distances. Maybe I'll try this T-shirt. Maybe I'll try this running shorts as opposed to the training shorts. So that
So
also
you really innovated like a lot on the fly, right? I think especially on your types of products, and I want to actually get to those the very unique products also that you guys have now maybe built over the years also in a bit. But from the early on days, I think you've taken those 7 years of learning and tried to incrementally build what your customers have been asking for. So on that note, I'm going to take a quick break, come back and chat down this conversation.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet talks to Tanisha, Shweta, and Ashish. They are the founders of the sex toys and wellness business, the Sangya Project. They recount their journey from an Instagram page to a full-fledged queer-owned business. On The Fighting Goat, Arjun and Somesh take a look at why MMA fighters are choosing to go back to pro wrestling. Want to learn an interesting perspective on the act of letting go? On The Habit Coach, Ashton shares 3 questions that will help you forgive others. On Marathi Kitkitun, the Deshmukhs draw a connection between the disciplines of science and literature. And on Tere Mere Raste, Keshav explores the city of Strawberry Farm, San Diego. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. Also, remember, we're on YouTube. You can check us out on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube and get a list of all the YouTube channels we have active at this point. I'd also like to make a quick note that we're doing a small listener survey, and it would really help us if you could fill that out. You can go to ivmpodcast.com/survey. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance and India Water Portal. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Hey everyone, welcome back in conversation with Pravin and Shruti about Athlos and all the cool stuff that they've been building over the years. Coming back to actually, Shruti, what we were just starting to talk about, you guys have over the years built a lot of very innovative products, and I know you've been not just with the fabric, bamboo, and the category which you said you wanted to focus on, right? Performance, athletic kind of apparel, but also new categories which didn't exist before. I think you guys have taken a lot of bold steps to create those over the years. One is a very, very big, I think, noticeable initiative was actually focusing on, even within the performance wear, focusing on women and what women athletes needed and the kind of different kind of apparel that they needed. And then later on, even more complex stuff like period wear and all of these new categories, which maybe today we are seeing a little bit more of, a lot more conscious or audience maybe for all this. But this was a first, if I'm not wrong, in what you guys sort of chose to build. So what was the genesis? Like, was that also customer feedback? Was that conscious? Like, do you remember how that came to be?
Yeah, I think it was where when we had a lot of different performance fabrics, and we if you start breaking it down and you see that, oh, so this can hold liquids and it can still dry up. Oh, so this wicks and it does the performance in a way that it'll not hold moisture, or it will dry fast. So with some of these ideas that were put together, the conversation in office one day steered towards, do women also, what do women do during their periods? Are they supposed to be active? Are they supposed to be non-active? Do they rest? What is it that they do? Now, with that came a variety of answers. Every woman's, the need is very different. Now, there were some who, through our conversation within the team as well as some personal experiences, where it said that there are some days where you need it, but you don't know when you need it, and you want to go for your run, and there are some unexpected moments, and you need something wherein it doesn't hinder your activity. So it came out of the active woman's need. It came out of the athletic woman's idea to find solutions so that she can slow down instead of stop completely. So, and that got the ball rolling on this particular product idea, the period underwear. And we did say several different combinations. So should it be leak proof? Should it be just absorption? And then we found our perfect combination of fabrics and the perfect design, which again was tested for quite some time through some rigorous
more than a year.
Yeah, so it was a project that went on for 2 years. I think interns came, interns left, sort of a thing that happened. And then after we launched it, it was probably during the lockdown or a little before.
Just after the first lockdown.
And now, how to communicate this? What to expect? What is called, medium flow? What is called heavy flow? So, the way we also saw it in the sense that why was an activewear company getting into the details of, details of understanding period needs, understanding sanitary needs. So, we saw the intelligence which can be applied for anything where there is moisture, like sweat, water is moisture, and anything which needs an application of a similar situation. Okay. So, again, an engineering approach towards building products, and it worked in testing, and that product again does well. Women there are enough offerings in the market. When we see our users returning back to us, it builds confidence that it is working. So personally, also I have tried different menstruation products. So, there were a lot of different recommendations made. So even active teenage girls who can expect their cycles anytime soon. So it becomes the perfect placement for girls, who can expect their periods, their first period. So the way so I think Athlos also does a job of keeping people and its users comfortable and protected. So that was the philosophy which helped us also build the communication on the page. Nice. What to expect, how to use it, the do's and don'ts. And we got all nerdy about it and it was fun.
And this seems to be a theme which you really, obviously it came naturally to, I guess, both of you to sort of be very real, be very like you said, be nerdy about it means like break it down to the, minutest level and make sure you've got it all right. And that's launched these so many various product lines that you have, even though you've been very, I would say, restrictive in what you choose to build and what you choose to, launch next. I think the mask is probably the most casual product launch that you did. Saying, let's
we have a new color in it. Sorry for product placement.
So it's also not restrictive, but I think Shruti mentioned the point earlier that we work on one product at a time.
Correct.
Now, if you're working on one product at a time, sometimes products take months. Like in the case of period underwear, it took us close to 2 years. Our running shorts, it took us close to 1.5 years. So it's not restricted in the sense that we are restricted in the sense of how much selected, like how many products we are working at a time and how much focus we are giving to.
So and again, today I think this is a little commonplace for people to look at the market today. If I search for something, I probably have like 5 t-shirt companies advertising to me at any point in Instagram. All of them have few SKUs only. They try to sell a story of why they are
Hmm.
the best round neck t-shirt since sliced bread. And it seems like it's what you guys were doing from day one is what everyone is trying to do today, right? Especially direct to consumer brands. But another aspect of your journey has been that you decided not only to do this, the philosophy which you just explained, the science that you built, you choose to do all this bootstrapped. You well, when I say chose, I think back then maybe there wasn't too much of a choice, but even to sort of stick to that today, to try and build and successfully build a profitable company.
Yeah.
How has that journey been? I mean, you must be the chased after by VCs. They're probably standing outside on the road right now, knowing that you're here. So, how have you consciously or not so consciously stayed away from that? And how's life been in general, being bootstrapped, building this company?
I think in the initial years, investment, we didn't even think of it, right? Because it took us time to. We also didn't want to drink our own Kool-Aid and just say that, okay, this is the best thing after sliced bread. So,
Right.
yeah. Like, initial, we spent a lot of time doing R&D and working on a product that works. And so we were so focused on the supply chain, everything. And it was just two of us initially for the first 3-4 years, right? So,
Right.
like, taking time out for fundraising would have also diverted our focus, where initially we were also building a technical product, like in the technical product line for the future. So initial base building. So also what happened, like within the first year, we started breaking even, and like we started getting decent return customer rate. Like customers are coming
Correct.
back, like and so in terms of the cash flow management or everything, the ball started rolling. Like our revenues were supporting even our R&D. Like we never shied away from going outside of India to different fabric mills across the world, going to Italy because we didn't have funding or something. The revenue started our funding, our R&D as well, and customers were coming back. So
I mean, what you're trying to say is that you guys were able to obviously immensely successfully build out everything from manufacturing, supply chain, pricing, sales. It all came together as a real business should.
Yeah.
You would think,
Yeah.
in contrast to maybe a lot of the conversations we have around startups today, where everything is funding first and then build later. Whereas you actually you did it, and that's the true nature of bootstrap. So congrats on doing that, and congrats on the success. Clearly, so is that what you've maintained? Like, have you ever thought of, let's say, a lot of people choose the funding route also at a later stage for scale. Let's say if I have to go from few hundred orders a day to few tens of thousands of orders a day, obviously changes the game. How has that been? Like, can you talk to us about the trajectory you guys have followed in terms of volumes?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of volumes, we have been growing healthy rate for a bootstrap company, like 1.8 to 2x every year.
Wow.
And with that growth, so we were never opposed to funding, right? We were like, okay, this is going on. This is also helping us build our customer base. This is also helping us sell. We are also able to sell our products at a margin which we want to maintain a healthy business. So for us, the funding was like, okay, the prospect of like the fundamental of raising money comes when you've developed all your whole model of how a product all the way to supply chain should work. So right now we are just about getting ready to, like start scaling across all the different, because at scale, right, everything has to scale together.
Correct.
Your supply chain, your marketing, your product, how you're gonna scale your individual product lines as well.
I think what you've shown like amazing restraint in I would say choosing to do what you're doing, and saying that now after 7 years is when you're still putting the finishing touches to what you want to scale. I mean, it's remarkable what you guys have done. Most others, like I said, would probably take the funding first and figure it out much later. I think you're doing the opposite, which is remarkable. what are the crazy VC stories that you have for how many people you've rejected?
No, not really. I mean, I wish it was
Be
true.
honest.
No, in fact, whenever we were talking to VCs, we have also been forthcoming that this is the stage we are at.
Right.
And sometimes being profitable works against that, right?
Exactly.
So, like, if you're
Exactly.
already profitable, why do you want to raise money? So, nothing crazy in terms of like a crazy. We don't have any crazy VC stories as
Sure.
such, and
You would have to go to Shark Tank for that.
I think that's a question we get asked a lot. I
yeah.
think most startups do. Yes.
Yeah. But then there's nothing wrong with the other approach, like funding first and then go and scale the product. For us, it
Right.
just happened to work the reverse way.
Of course.
That every time we felt like, okay, maybe we need to raise money. But at the same time, our revenues also came in together. And then, like somehow the ball kept on rolling. Like the cash flow was never a restraint. Like it never, at no point of time, it felt that we are running out of money
Right.
because our sales are slowed down or because our costs have increased or any
That's
of those
amazing.
things.
On that same note, like you almost must be. It's been 7 years already. You've been, building this incrementally. So many new product lines. How far ahead do you typically look when it comes to what next? And both I'm saying from a landscape lens also, that you must be seeing, since you're taking so much consumer feedback all the time, you must be getting requests around, okay, what next, what to build next, what to look at. Plus you're seeing the market evolve from where it was 7 years ago. So what's your view on where this is going and how you fit into that the landscape of things that is coming?
Maybe you should take that question of how far ahead we think. Yeah.
How far ahead we think. I think when we started, we were thinking on, I think we were little not
Like if
ahead
you were
of
funded,
our
I would say, oh, do you want to be a $1 billion or a $10 billion company? Because that's how most funded companies think, because they're thinking about the next round.
We'll be the bootstrap $1 billion. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
You heard it here first. But
From a landscape point of view, if you're so this is here to stay. It's not your one or two waves that you ride. It's here to stay. There have been enough changes and enough realizations for most of us because of the pandemic, because of health, and so many different concerns, that giving yourself 1 hour in a day is your basic. Now, if that's here to stay, and if that is something which we are building the entire future of Athlos on, so then we feel it's at a fantastic place. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, how much we want to grow and how do we want to grow, it has mostly been organic for us. We have on and off, we get some ideas where we feel, oh, we would what if we built a small little retail touch and feel experience in Leh. Again, operationally difficult subject, but then these are the ideas that we get, and we say, okay, let's first build this product, let's first build that product. So that would be something for us, being present in a very strategic or in a useful retail manner. So it's not to try out things, but it's like, okay, where the conversation can be apt, where the conversation can be better. So those are the things that we're working on, we're planning.
On the same note, you've also stayed away not just from, let's say, people giving you money, but also from choosing to distribute on other platforms. That's also a very big sort of a decision to stick to your, now what we call D2C again, right? I mean,
yeah.
That what about that? How many times how did you ensure that your confidence remains that I will always be a direct selling company?
Initially, it was a conscious decision because we wanted to be focused on one single channel and see if customers are coming back.
Right.
Because sometimes on marketplaces, people are buying without really understanding the product or something. But since we were a single point of channel where people could buy, we could interact a lot with our users. That allowed us the real estate of like, okay, we can build a customer experience by actually experiencing talking to the customers.
Correct.
So the confidence did come when we started getting people coming back for a second color, third color. And so generally it's like, like if you're getting repeat businesses from your customer base.
Yeah. It's
And
much better to retain a customer than acquire a new one, I can imagine. Yeah.
So again, the same thing that since we were also doing, contrary to apparel brands, we worked on one product at a time. So we never did a collection. So like say if you're doing a collection, then perhaps, okay, going all around, all for distribution made sense. But we were doing one product at a time. So one product at a time, launch it on our channel, get the feedback and keep growing. And the products also kept growing through our channel as well, right? People were coming, every new product, then by the time it's third or fourth inventory, it's spread across that segment. So the confidence did come that because there were numbers, like people were coming back and buying the
and that's
product.
Continued. I mean, and you've obviously, I mean, once that sort of snowball effect has begun, I can imagine that it ramps you up for maintaining that. But what you're saying is that in spite of not being on a marketplace, you're still, tomorrow you will be able to cater to, let's say, massive demand. And you now have figured out the scaling challenges, if at all, had to, like, say, 5x in a month or 10x in a month or something like that. That's amazing. I mean, it's, to be honest, again, for businesses like this, you would assume the norm is just launch on a marketplace and, get the distribution that it comes with.
True. But then marketplaces also, like, it can create, like, initial years, like, of course, we are also getting ready to expand our distribution channels. But in the initial years, we also felt that being on marketplaces would have
given you more
of,
noise.
like, So,
of course. Of course. No, very cool. I mean, again, to my earlier question of how far you look, obviously, I'm sure you're looking at more volumes, you're maybe more innovation around the product lines. And like you said, the landscape, I mean, the market is definitely here to stay. So what is it, like, what can you tell us about, let's say, the next 6 months to a year to 18 months as funding cycles go, as to where you want to see Athlos? And maybe both of you can give me your own bits on that.
I think, see, the thing is, now that we're coming out of the pandemic, we are gearing up for scaling right now. Right. Because the last 2 years, one of the main challenges that happened was with the lockdown, the supply chain was all around the place. Like, it took us some time to optimize and bring the supply chain back to where we can feel confident. Okay, now we're ready to scale because we have our vendors set. We have factories and the pandemic doesn't look like it's going to come one day and then again shut off for the next 2 months. Because that's what happened when the factories would shut down. Then all our inventory cycle, all our supply chain predictions, and then no funding can solve that thing, right? So that time we were more focused on bringing our supply chain back to be ready for scale. And it's only now we feel like, okay, now things are back, the supply chain looks back, and we have figured out a few things of how to scale. So so we'll start scaling it 2022 more from a scaling point of view and not just optimizing and bringing back the supply chain.
Awesome.
So
we'll see Athlos on hoardings and all somewhere.
Well, from a branding perspective, so we've stuck to a lot of neat storytelling method. So sometimes spending unnecessary hours behind one icon, that detail oriented as well. So from a product and a branding perspective, I would say that I think it would be, so we want to tell more stories. We want to definitely tap into the community, be more, which probably became dormant somewhere, and now with the team size growing, and we also plan to have say community managers or build the team in a way that we can be far more in touch while also get more people to get in touch with us. So we definitely believe that if it's a difficult product, we know how to tell its story. We can convince you to try it, at least believe that you should try it. So from that, so probably do it a little bit more with a single-minded focus. So our Instagram channel also is a little bit of a shy account, I would say. So maybe make it
A little more vocal.
yeah,
a little
extrovert.
More extrovert.
Yeah, so
That's
that's probably
Amazing.
the 18-month plan for yeah.
Very nice. I mean, of course, this is something which, like I said, I have had a little bit of privilege of seeing early on to where it is now, to rightfully so that I actually discover products which I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know you had a mask. I found out, oh, wait, there's a mask. I can order an Athlos mask. I didn't know that. At one point, I discovered the towel, I remember. So there are things which I think, discovered in spite of, let's say, having access to Pravin. I found via, the grapevine, or even better, like word of mouth, right? So clearly you guys are here very much in the space that Athlos deserves to be in. So really looking forward to where this is going, and the crazy valuations that you can keep commanding. On that note, why don't you also share for people listening to this conversation, if they want to, let's say, talk to you, if they want to obviously go to the website, I'm sure, and buy and try out Athlos products. But can you share, let's say, where people can reach you, your Twitter or Instagram, whichever you want to share? Just call it out.
I watch the Athlos account very closely. So any message or any DM definitely reaches me directly. Other than that, you can find me on Shruti Kamath 04. I don't know why I have that on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, for Athlos, our Instagram DM is the best place to reach out, and because our customer experience, Shruti and me, we are pretty much around the account. You can, like, if someone wants to reach out to me, I'm Wandering Raptor on Instagram. It's a really old handle and I haven't changed it.
Wonderful. Make sure to put those in in the blurb that goes out with the podcast. But thank you guys so much. This was like a super fun chat. And of course, for everyone, if you're listening to this on any of your favorite podcast apps, do leave us a rating and review. Definitely helps if you go to Apple Podcasts, or if you're on Spotify, leave us a review there and spread the word. Like, if, as you heard, Athlos, most of the growth that you've seen, I think you guys told about, the stories are all from genuine people who listen, who you spoke to, just like that. If you're listening to Shunya One today, tell a friend if you like this episode. Help spread the word. And of course, reach out to our guests here if you want to talk feedback about the latest, coolest performance athletic apparel that you got from Athlos, and look out for more from them. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
this
Sheila,
really fun
for having us over.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad. And looking forward
to be in studio as well. Like, yeah,
absolutely. Thanks so much, guys.
Ladies, I'm sure you will relate to it if I say that we are constantly busy with work, studies, cooking, and whatnot. And amidst all of this, we often forget an important element that needs our desperate attention: finance. So here we are, bringing to you SBI Life Presents A Sip of Finance, a women-exclusive podcast where we will teach you how to manage personal finances in a simple and straightforward way with your host, Priyanka Acharya, a finance expert who's been in the industry for 14 plus years. And not just in English, but in 7 more languages. So tune in every Tuesday for fresh episodes on the IVM Podcast Network and all major podcast streaming platforms.